Okay, quick question. What if the very first real magic in Harry Potter isn't a spell at all? What if it's a decision? Hey friends, welcome to Wizarding Lab. In our little book club, we decided to read the entire Harry Potter series together. And because of that, I thought, as long as time allows, I'll share our chapter-by-chapter conversations here. We'll review each chapter, move forward together, and try to notice the things that usually slip past on a first read. Now, what exactly do I cover in each episode? Honestly, it depends on the chapter, on what Rowling chooses to highlight. And I think the further we go, the clearer and richer this format will become. But in a simple way, here's the idea. We do a clean recap of the chapter's plot. We talk about characters, relationships, and the dialogue. And more than anything, I try to look for the deeper layers, the quiet themes under the noise. And look, if you haven't read Harry Potter yet, this is actually a great excuse to start. My best recommendation is read the chapter first, then come back here, because then we can catch the tiny details together. I'll try not to spoil too much, but sometimes to really understand a moment, we have to lift our eyes and see the bigger story around it. So, let's set the intro aside and step into Chapter 1 of Book 1, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. The chapter title is The Boy Who Lived, and you probably agree that's one of the most iconic chapter titles in the entire series. This chapter has a few special traits that make it feel different from most chapters later on. For example, we technically have Harry in the chapter. Harry Potter is present. But here's the weird part, right? He's not present as a speaking character. He doesn't talk, because he's a baby. So he exists almost like an object in the scene, like a name everyone is circling. We meet the Dursleys. We see McGonagall, Dumbledore, Hagrid. We even hear Sirius Black's name. And yet Harry doesn't narrate anything. He doesn't choose anything. He's just there. And that matters, because it tells us something about the beginning of this story. At first, Harry is not the driver. He's the center of gravity. The world moves around him before he can even understand it. Now, let's ask a simple question. When is this chapter happening? The timeline points us to November 1st, 1981. How do we know? Because it's the day after Voldemort's fall, and that fall happened on Halloween night. Voldemort goes to kill Lily and James Potter. He fails, something rebounds, and the most feared wizard in Britain vanishes. So the next day, the wizarding world spills into the streets. People are celebrating, whispering, pointing, and Rowling drops in names that seem small at first, but they echo later. One of those names is Daedalus Diggle. We only get a quick glimpse, but it's a glimpse that signals Rowling's style. She plants seeds early. Some readers barely notice that name on a first pass, but it quietly expands the world. It reminds us there are other lives moving in the background. Now, let's talk about McGonagall for a second, because in my opinion, this chapter gives her one of the biggest, let's call them narrative awkward moments. McGonagall is a major figure in the series. She's sharp, she's disciplined, she's deeply connected to Dumbledore. But yet, in Chapter 1, she's written as if she knows almost nothing. Now, there is a defense for this. People will say, and fairly, that Rowling needed a way to deliver information. She needed a character to ask questions out loud, so the reader could hear the answers. And look, I get it. That's a classic storytelling tool. But the question is, was McGonagall the best choice for that role? Because later on, we learned she's one of Dumbledore's closest allies, so it feels strange that she's surprised by things that seem like core urgent news, like the fate of Lily and James, like the details of what happened. Could Rowling have used a different professor, a different staff member, someone who could be curious without feeling out of place? Look, I'm not saying it breaks the story, not at all. I'm just saying as a reader, it stands out, and it's interesting to notice it. There's another small detail people like to point out. The chapter claims the story begins on a Tuesday, but November 1st, 1981 was a Sunday. Is it a massive problem? No, but if we're doing close reading, we might as well notice it. Now, besides the timeline, this chapter is doing something very important. It's introducing the pillars of the world. The Dursleys, Vernon, Petunia, and baby Dudley. McGonagall, Dumbledore, Hagrid. The mention of Sirius Black. All of that arrives before Hogwarts even exists on the page. And notice how Rowling describes the Dursleys. It's not just they're unpleasant. She exaggerates their traits, almost like a cartoon, not to make them lovable, but to make them readable. Petunia's long neck, the way she snoops, the way the family is framed as rigid, ordinary, almost allergic to mystery. It's written with a light tone, even though the situation underneath is dark. Because yes, from the beginning, the story is carrying grief. A child has lost everything, and the reader is about to watch that child grow up inside a house that does not want him. Now, let's talk about magic in this chapter, because something interesting happens here. We haven't even been introduced to wands yet. No one points a wand, no one casts a named spell, and still, the chapter is full of magic. The first obvious piece of magic is McGonagall herself. She is an animagus. She transforms into a cat. And yes, you can even debate little details there, like whether a cat would behave in exactly the way she's described. Again, not to attack the book, just to observe it closely. Then we get Dumbledore's device, the Deluminator. He uses it to extinguish the street lamps on Privet Drive, then to bring the light back. And in that moment, Rowling is doing two things at once. She is showing power, and she is showing secrecy. Magic is real, but it hides. It moves in the dark. And then we see Sirius Black's flying motorcycle. Hagrid arrives with it. It's loud, it's strange, it's unforgettable. Another signal. This world is bigger than a neat little suburban street. We also hear a key word, Muggle. A person who doesn't have magic, a person who cannot see what the wizarding world sees. And this matters, because it draws a line between worlds, between what is known and what is hidden. Now, one of the most interesting layers in this chapter is the title itself, The Boy Who Lived. Because from the beginning, the story is telling you survival is the mystery. Why did he live? How did he live? What happened in that house? And if you're reading carefully, you can already feel the answer forming, not as a fact, but as a theme. That love leaves a mark, that love can act like protection, that love can stand against darkness. It's almost like Rowling is whispering from page 1, this is not just a story about spells, it's a story about what stays with you, even when you don't remember it. So, that's our first chapter, a quiet street, a celebration in secret, a child delivered into a life he didn't choose. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. What part of Chapter 1 stands out to you the most? What details do you want us to slow down on as we move forward? Leave a comment, share your favorite line, or tell me what you want more of in the next episode. I'll try to keep each episode around a comfortable length, but sometimes the chapter demands a little more time. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in Chapter 2. Good night.